Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also known as the King of Armor Destruction, the Armor Wizard, Zap. We have a body armor demo today from Spartan Armor Systems. We've done some of their body armor demos in the past. Now, in full transparency, they sent over some of these plates for us to review with no strings attached. They also sent over a couple of their plate carriers. This is their tactical response kit. Has a nice little bag that you can put your carrier in. We've got a drag handle on the back. We've got an M4 pouch here made from 1000D Cordura. The only thing I particularly don't like about this kit is it uses our standard buckles on the side versus a dedicated cummerbund. Although I'm going to guess, because we've got our Velcro up front, we could convert this to use a standard cummerbund. Our particular plate for review today is our Hercules Lite RF2 plate. Let's take a closer look at this guy. This particular Hercules Lite RF2 from Spartan Armor Systems is a sappy medium, meaning it is 9.5 by 11.5 inch measurements. It weighs 5.235 pounds or 2.376 kilograms. It is approximately 1 inch thick or 25.4 millimeters, depending on where you measure. Sometimes if you measure on the side, it will measure a little bit thinner than up here or vice versa. This particular model is multi-curve. You can see all those nice sexy curves there. We got one here and one right here, and that will generally fit your body better than a single curve or a no curve. Now, if this is the first time you're viewing my YouTube channel, I do all my body armor demos completely different than everyone else on YouTube, probably why manufacturers shy away from wanting to send me plates. But in the end of the day, when some of my threat assessments are done, you can probably take those to the bank. Since this is rifle armor, we shoot at 45 feet. We also shoot at 0 degrees, again, because that is worst case scenario. We use a giant clay briefcase filled with Roma plastilina, #1 clay from Chavant. That is the same clay that the NIJ uses, but I can't heat it up to temperature and keep it at that temperature out here. It's got to be around 100 degrees. It's only 75 to 80 degrees outside today, and they drop a ball on it and they measure that and certify that. So what we're looking at in my clay is a representation of what backface could be. If I shoot M80 ball at 2,900 feet per second in this plate and it stops it and the back face is like 75 millimeters, in the NIJ's test, that probably would be failing. Since this employs a ceramic strike face per the NIJ, we've dropped each plate on its face 2 times as a preconditioning test. After we've done that, we mark a DT indicating that we've done the drop test on each plate. If we do it more than 2 times, we'll indicate that so. And then we check for any cracking. That's where we take the opposing edges of our plate and we apply force and listen for any cracking. These particular models do not have any drop face foam that I can detect on them, so they actually have cracked. Both plates did, so you can hear cracking on that if we flex those. This particular sappy medium plate does employ a complete edge-to-edge ceramic strike face, meaning that if we were to rip this cover off, this ceramic should extend almost all the way out to the edge of this plate. Some other manufacturers will sell you a lighter plate and they use a foam or non-ballistic ring on the outside of the plate because the NIJ won't shoot any closer than 2 inches or more from the edge depending on the threat. So it's good that we're seeing a very lightweight plate at 5.23 pounds and we have complete edge-to-edge ceramic. We also use a chronograph whenever possible because we need to know the velocity of that bullet. Spartan Armor Systems sent me over a lot of their lab reports and the V50 rating on some of these threats is quite high, so we'll have to see how high we can take them. We also put a spreadsheet here at the beginning and the end and we kind of foreshadow all the threats we're going to shoot at it. We list out the penetrations and the velocities, and in the end we do a teardown, and that's where we confirm that the manufacturer does indeed have a ceramic strike face that extends edge to edge, and we can kind of look at the different material makeup that makes up the guts of our plates and see if there's any pluses or minuses to this design. I do want to remind everyone that I am not an NIJ lab, so if you see a threat penetrated or a threat stopped and you have any questions, you should always defer to the manufacturer to produce accredited and recent lab results with that particular threat. And on the flip side, if you're in the manufacturer and you see me stop M855A1 going 3,500 plus feet per second, you should send it off to a lab and have that added as a special rifle threat to your panel. To be as transparent as possible, I do have an affiliate link set up with Spartan Armor Systems, meaning that if you were to click that link and you buy something, I get a sales commission from that. Now, as I mentioned, I'm not here to push you guys into buying this stuff. I want to evaluate it in an unbiased as possible manner. And if you guys were looking at buying this and you wanted to say thank you for the work that I put forward, using that link is what earns me that sales commission. And I put that right back in the channel by buying like M855A1 or M2 armor piercing. Most of those rounds are $2 to $5 a piece, or I buy a different caliber to do some additional testing on. Plate number 1 is strapped in and ready to go. We're going to start right off with the level 3 threat, or the RF1 and 2 maximum energy threat, so to speak. This is our M80 ball. 145 to 150 grain. This one is marked 149 grain. This is Winchester Lake City surplus. It does attract a magnet on the jacket, meaning that the jacket is bimetal. Usually that metal is steel and it's copper clad or copper coated. We've got our 22-inch TC compass, so we should see somewhere close to the spec, if not a little bit over. Then we can save the 24-inch for plate number 2, depending on how these do back face wise. 2812, 2824, 2840. Easy enough to check out these shots. Shots number 1, 2, and then 3. Those are definitely considered fair hits. The strike face is still plenty solid for some follow-up hits. Place those bets in the comments below. No pass-throughs, folks. Now our dimple on the first shot, pretty well contained. That third shot though, really bunched it up. Second shot, not so bad. So back face wise, again, this is just a representation. 55 millimeters on that guy. 42 millimeters on that, and that actually looks worse. But like our first shot, 22 millimeters. Again, NIJ reports, always look at those for official numbers, but we stopped it. Before we go to our 5.56 threats, let's check out our 5.45 by 39 millimeters. This is a Russian caliber. This is 7N6M for modernized. I keep saying modified in all my videos, modernized. 52 grains with a hardened steel penetrating core in there. The original 7N6 has a B-scale hardness core in there, and a lot of polyethylene plates can stop it, but this particular one is a little harder to, like M855A1, to stop. We've got the SSG82. This has almost a 24-inch barrel. 3190, and I think I was a little over to the side. We've got our 22-inch TC compass, so this is our maximum real-world velocity. Spartan Armor Systems shared some of the reports with me to show some pretty large V50 numbers on stopping our 5.56 threats. So we've got our 55 grain full metal jacket M193. That is known for popping steel armor. Most polyethylene and ceramic can stop it unless they're very thin plates. We've got our M855A1, that is the U.S. Army's current issue ball round all the way down to basic. It is an evolution of M855. It has a larger and harder arrowhead penetrating tip and a copper core versus our M855 SS109, that's the current issue NATO round. It has a lead core and a smaller steel penetrating tip. One thing I do want to mention about the advantages of our level 3 plus or RF2 plates is they are more multi-hit capable than a lot of our level 4 plates are. Level 4 is only designed to stop 1 round of M2 armor piercing, and it doesn't encompass any of the lesser threats such as 308 or 5.56. It's literally just M2 armor piercing. We've shown most of those plate designs can take upwards of 3 to 4 hits of that plus some other rounds, but the strike face starts to degrade. Some of these newer RF2 offerings offer quite a bit of multi-hit capability, well past the 6 rounds that they would be rated for normally. So our M193 first. Now our M855, we're going to put these right next to his eye holes. Now our M855A1. 3254, ooh-wee. We put a hurtin' on this plate. It looks like we're using alumina strike face. Our M193 shots, number 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Then the M855, 1, 2, 7 and 6M, 1 and 2. Then our M855, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then our A1, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's definitely not a fair hit. I'm not even sure how I pulled that one. I was trying to be right there. Place those bets in the comments below. Uh-oh, Raggy. It looks like we have a penetration from the second and third M855A1, and that edge shot looks like it actually stopped, but because of how it pushed it out, it went through. But our other shots were contained without issue. We'll pull this cover off and confirm. You know, back face is again subjective because we're putting a lot of hits on plates, and I'm always mentioning that we're just looking at a representation of back face, not necessarily true to the spec. You should always, again, defer to the manufacturer, Spartan Armor Systems, for their lab reports for actual lab results. Confirmed our only penetrations on this plate that actually were on the strike face were the M855A1s, as well as this M855 right here. It did kind of squeak through the jacket. You can see right there, that would consider a penetration. Now that side shot of M855A1 did actually penetrate to the back of the plate, but the way that it pushed out the polyethylene, that's why we see damage in the clay. This doesn't appear to be a press backer. We'll do the teardown at the end. Let's move on. Plate number 2 is ready to go. We brought back out our 7.62 NATO threats. This is M80A1, U.S. Army's current issue ball round in 7.62 NATO. I'm not sure what the deployment status of it is, like what guns have it. I'm going to guess it is in some machine guns. It has a large hard arrow steel tip and a copper core, just like the enhanced performance round M855A1. The tip is not as hard on this though, only 49 to 50 R8C versus 5960 R8C on the M855A1 version. 30-31 is the velocity. Now for our 300 blackout friends, we've got our M80A1 as well as our M2 armor piercing. If that's a little bit of foreshadowing, if I do say so myself. We'll take the M80A1 shot first. This is a 10.5-inch SBR. 2062. 1681. We have 4 more rounds of M855A1 that we're going to shoot at this plate to give it a little more of an advantage because it's not as beat up as the last one. I shot a little high for some reason. Easy enough for all these shots. M855A1, number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Our 308 M80A1 shot right there. The 300 blackout version. And then M2 armor piercing. Place those bets in the comments below. Uh-oh, Raggy. We have a penetration from this shot of M855A1 down here in the corner, as well as our M80A1 and M2 armor piercing. But it looks like our other shots were stopped. Again, this edge shot, not a fair hit in the NIJ's eyes because the bullet likes to do funky things. Pretty darn impressive plate so far. I can't wait to do the teardown to see what is on the inside of this. We'll finish out plate number 2 with our M80 ball and some 22 Creedmoor. We brought out the 24-inch Savage 110 Tactical, so we should see close to 3,000 feet per second from this load in this gun. And finally, we've got our friend Mach Overdrive. This is our 22 Creedmoor, effectively like 22-250, except it has a 1-in-7 twist barrel. This is 18-inch upper from KAK Industries. A big thank you to them to send this over because This has allowed us to work up some loads in our 55 grain full metal jacket M193, as well as our M855 and M855A1. Seeing how we were having some penetration with the A1, we're only going to use the M193 and M855. 3383, 3731, 3788. Nice and hot, boys and girls, nice and hot. All right, our final two hits of M80 ball at the higher velocity was number 1 and then number 2. Then we shot our M855 22 Creedmoor here, then our M193 here, then our second M193 right there. It could be argued that that is in a compromised area. Place those bets in the comments below. Ho! We'll confirm, but no pass-throughs, folks. Now that second shot of M80 down there looks to have bunched up our polyethylene, but that shot right there, as far as that dimple goes, right around 26 millimeters. This guy down here, a little worse for wear, right around 56 millimeters. But we stopped our plus P plus M193 and M855. Very, very impressive.
Paging Dr. Matt to surgery. Paging Dr. Matt to surgery.
Now, for a fan favorite, the Teardown. That's where we get to look at the guts of our plates and confirm any penetrations or any oddities that we saw during filming. I will offer, based on the fact that I know a thing or two, because I've seen a thing or two, some constructive criticism on how to make this plate better. Again, that is just my opinion. So here is plate number 2. We have a foam backer on here, fairly thick actually. I measured that right around 1/4 of an inch thick. Typically plates will employ this as a means of controlling back face. I personally feel that 1/8 of an inch of this foam is enough, and in this case Spartan Armor Systems does not have a strike face foam. We should have this thickness and put that on the front to help prevent any cracking. Confirmed our only penetrations were the M855A1 down here in the corner, that M2 armor piercing, and then our M80A1 out of the 22-inch barrel. We're using polyethylene. It does not appear pressed though. It is Honeywell Spectra Shield. You can see that little mark right there. And what I mean by not being pressed is that this particular backing material is easily thumbed through, kind of like a book. I mean, it's not completely limp, but it's lost a majority of its shape. I think that means that they only run this through an autoclave and they don't have a giant press that's, you know, many tons that smashes all these layers together. Again, I can't speak with 100% certainty with that, but that's just what I've seen. You can see on that last shot of M80 ball at the plus P plus speed that it bunched a lot of it up, but it held up pretty well. Now here's our strike face. It's alumina. I measured that right around 228 thousandths thick. You can see all of the crack propagation that occurs on a monolithic tile strike face. I would recommend that Spartan Armor Systems laminates the front and rear of this panel as well, again, as adding drop face foam protection. Otherwise, a majority of it is still intact, given the amount of threats that we shot on it. Plate number 1, again, our confirmed penetrations were those M855A1 shots. Obviously, that shot over there was not a fair hit. Otherwise, it stopped all those threats. Again, the plate is somewhat delaminating fairly easily and lost its shape, and it is somewhat pliable. Honeywell Spectra Shield. Our strike face. Lots more carnage on this one, but again, it held its shape. Hard to argue against the quality of this strike face. I need to hurry up and close up shop because it's actually 7:30 and I'm getting hungry. The bugs will be out at some point and I'll probably have a ton of mosquito bites. But I think our Hercules Lite did very well. We stopped a tirade of our NIJ level 3 plus RF1 and 2 threats. We even stopped M80A1 right around 2,000 feet per second from R300 black. I think Spartan Armor Systems built a solid plate. If I could offer any constructive criticism, it would be to laminate our strike face as well as add foam to protect it against drops. I would have the rear foam and add a little more polyethylene, as well as looking at acquiring pressed backers so that we can maintain all those layers through multiple hits. I think this RF2 checks a lot of boxes, especially if you're looking to lose a little bit of weight while retaining coverage for the upcoming RF2, as well as probably covering M855A1 at a little lower velocity. Their plate carriers seem to be very well built. They're not made in America, the plates are, but they are made out of 1000D Cordura. We'll have to test them over the coming months and or years to see how they hold up to various different training exercises. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here, but at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible, because there's a lot that goes into them. Number one is my family. They came out here, and Deacon loves to shoot, so anytime I can spend time with him and my wife, I greatly appreciate it. Number two is my Patreon, Subscribe Star, and YouTube channel members. I have all that turned on, so if you're looking to support the channel, mainly what I do with all those funds is I either buy barrel lengths for different various velocity testing, or I buy a lot of that armor piercing or specialty ammunition. M80A1 is like $6 a pop. I just did that M855A1 review, and that was like, $400 for that, and now I'm getting asked to test M80A1, and that's going to cost quite a bit of money, so I'll have to do some saving. So I have a campsite in the description below. There's various different landing pages for affiliate codes or discount tracking links, and they earn me a sales commission. I do have one for Spartan Armor Systems, and I want to hold the position that I'm not trying to push sales to you guys, but if you were looking at this plate and you go ahead and make that purchase based on your own research, using that link offers me a kickback. Number three is Spartan Armor Systems. Again, in full transparency, sent me those plates and plate carriers to destroy with no strings attached. And of course, number four is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.